In today's video, I'm going to share the top 5 mistakes that are keeping you either overweight or skinny fat instead of getting that fit, toned, sexy looking body that you are trying so hard to get. You're doing all the workouts, you're being really good with your diet, getting the protein, but for some reason, you're just not getting your dream results. Well, baby girl, I'm gonna break down exactly what is going on and what you need to change so that you can finally shed the body fat, see all that sexy muscle definition, and feel amazing in your body year round. So let's get into it. What's going on, Fit Fam? Welcome on back to my channel. My name is Megan Janice, the founder of Nomadic Fitness, and I teach you ladies how to eat way more food without any restrictions and work out smarter instead of harder so you can build that beautiful, fit, toned hourglass body that you feel amazing in and can maintain year-round for life with ease. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Come follow me over on Instagram for even more fitness content. And if you're coming on back, thanks so much for joining for another video. Okay, fam, let's get into the first mistake that you're most likely making that is preventing you from getting that fit, toned, hot body you really want to be having and that you're working so hard to try to get. And the first mistake is that you are just eating too little. I know it sounds crazy because our whole lives we've always heard, okay, I just need to eat less, move more if I want to lose weight and if I want to look fabulous. But actually the problem is when you are always eating very little, you're doing two things to your body. Number one, you are slowing down your metabolism and you're making your body get adapted to a lower calorie intake, which means you are just burning fewer calories around the clock. So what is this doing? It means that it's going to make it harder for you to lose that body fat you want to get rid of because your body's not burning as many calories on autopilot. And then of course, it's also going to make it easier for you to gain back even more. And then the second, and in a lot of ways, this is even the more important aspect, is that when you don't eat that much food, you cannot gain much muscle. And if you say you want to have a toned body, that means a muscular body. You cannot get that fit, tight, firm, snatched looking body without having a lot of muscle because it's the muscle that gives you that smooth, firm definition, gives you the lines and shape where you want it. So it's a combination of having lots of muscle and then, yes, also taking fat off your body. You do need to get lean. But if you get lean and you don't have the muscle underneath, then you're not actually going to look the way that you want and you're not going to be able to maintain it that easily because the other thing is that the more muscle you have, the more calories your body burns on autopilot because muscle is calorically expensive for the body. So the more muscle you have, the faster your metabolism becomes. So you are just turning into a calorie burning, fat burning machine all the time. So not only do you get to look fit, toned, snatched, fabulous the way that you want to, but you also get to maintain it more easily. So if you are always chasing low carb, low calories, thinking that if you just keep your calories low, that you are going to get that dream result, that is actually the main reason you are not getting the dream result. Because if you always stay at low calories, if you are never changing it, always keeping your carbs low, you are giving your body no resources to actually build some muscle with, to look toned in the first place, and thereafter to speed up your metabolism so that you can stay this way all the time. So that is the first big mistake. The second mistake that often goes hand in hand with eating too little is also just exercising too much, and especially that you are just kind of being really random with your exercising instead of knowing how to get what you want out of your workouts. And a lot of the time this actually involves doing less. So you can see it as you're just exercising instead of training, because training means that you are specifically going into your workouts with the intention to build muscle. So we know that if you want to have that fit, sexy, toned body, you need to have muscle. And don't get me wrong, it's amazing if you are exercising at all in terms of your overall well-being and your overall health. But if you are trying to achieve that toned, fit, aesthetic look from your workouts, then it really matters what you're doing. So the way that you actually build muscle in your workouts so that you will have that aesthetic that you desire, where you look really fit and toned, is you need to really make your muscles work hard. You need to give your muscles a reason to grow. And the way that you do that is you put a significant stimulus, significant resistance on your muscles so that they literally have no option but to grow. Now, this goes hand in hand with eating enough, because even if you were working out really hard, pushing your muscles hard, you wouldn't be able to grow very much muscle if you weren't eating enough food. So that is why you need to do the two of those together, because one fuels the other. And that's the other thing. If you're not eating enough food, you're probably not going to be doing very good quality workouts, because you don't have enough energy to actually push yourself hard in the gym, especially eating enough carbs. So again, I know so many women are afraid to eat carbs, but the thing is, carbs are your body's primary source of fuel. So if you're not eating that many carbs, you don't have the energy to push yourself hard in the gym, and then you don't have the fuel to create muscle mass with. It's really protein and carbs that help you to build more muscle. Yes, we also need to eat fats for our hormones, and also if we didn't have fat, our food would just taste really, really bland. But the big mistake I see most women making with their food is they're eating way too much fat and then not enough protein and carbs. So you really actually need to change that to get that lean, toned, fit physique. So what are the big mistakes that I see women making when it comes to their workouts? One of them is just not having access to challenging enough equipment. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that maybe it is not an option for you to go to the gym, you're stuck at home, and that's why you only have access to like 5-pound, 10-pound, 20-pound dumbbells. This is okay to get started with your fitness journey, but you are simply not going to be able to achieve that impressive of a result only using weights like that, because it is just not going to be challenging enough on your muscles for them to really grow. So if you must work out from home, if there is no way that you can go to a gym, then you need to get access to a bit better quality equipment. When I have clients who work out from home, I always make sure that they have at least the 5 to 50-pound adjustable dumbbells. So that way, if they were doing 2 50-pound dumbbells, they would have as much as 100 pounds. So that's giving them a lot more weight to work with so they can stimulate their muscles more. And even better, if you can actually get a barbell with plates and maybe some kind of squat rack, then you'd be able to really overload your muscles and see way more out of your workouts. Especially when we're talking your lower body, this matters a lot, because your legs and glutes are huge muscles, right? So if you're just using a 5-pound, 10-pound dumbbell, that is barely anything for your leg and glute muscles to feel really stimulated and challenged by. So that is why it is really ideal if you can go to a gym, even just a few days a week, to use the heavy equipment, all the machines that they have there to really overload your muscles, especially in your lower body, so you can actually get those really toned, sculpted, sexy legs. But if it is absolutely not an option for you to go to a gym, then make sure to invest in some equipment to use at home. Dumbbells going up to at least 50 pounds, and even better if you can get the barbell and plate. And a lot of the time you can find this secondhand on things like Kijiji and all the Craigslist, these types of websites. And if nothing else, you can invest, a couple $100, maybe like $1,000 into this equipment. I know it costs something, but think of it this way: you'll buy it once and then you have everything you would ever need to work out from home for the rest of your life, to have one of the most valuable things in life, which is to have a really fit, healthy body. So it's definitely well worth it. Okay, the third mistake you're making that is keeping you either overweight or skinny fat instead of fit and toned how you want to be is you are only thinking about fat loss instead of thinking also about muscle gain. So I was kind of talking about this at the beginning of this video, that the fit body you want to have, where it looks obvious that you work out, where you just look amazing, where you can wear booty shorts, a crop top bikini, and feel amazing in it because your body looks awesome, is a body that has a lot of muscle. And in addition, you also have a relatively low body fat percentage. But the big mistake I see all the time is women only thinking, okay, how do I lose fat? How do I get the weight off my body? And because of that, that then leads them to think, okay, just keep my calories really low, don't eat that many carbs, really restrict my intake, and then I'm gonna exercise a whole bunch. I'm gonna do just like whatever workouts, but it doesn't really matter what I'm doing because I'm just trying to lose weight. This is the exact wrong way to approach this, because yes, you will need to lose some body fat, but it is really the muscle gain that is going to make the big difference in your physique. You need to put shape on your body, and that is going to come from putting muscle on something that is not there right now. So you need to think about gaining muscle, not just losing body fat. And so the strategy to gain muscle is really quite different. It involves eating enough food, especially enough protein and carbs. And then it also involves working out smarter instead of just doing a whole bunch of exercising. In fact, you can actually usually work out a lot less, even if you only lifted weights 3 to 4 days a week, but you really did good quality sessions where you're choosing the best exercises to do and you were really pushing yourself to failure, meaning that you were doing as many reps as it took to completely burn out your muscle, give it your full effort, your full intensity. Trust me, you would see way better results only doing 3 to 4 sessions a week for maybe about 45 minutes to 1 hour than you would working out 6 to 7 days a week, doing just kind of like whatever, doing a bunch of random classes, even something like CrossFit. I know a lot of people enjoy something like that because of the community aspect and the accountability in that way. And don't get me wrong, again, if your only interest is just to kind of have a general baseline of health, then something like that is fine. But since you're probably watching this because you're physique oriented, you want better aesthetics, you want to look more toned, and you want to look more like somebody who obviously works out, CrossFit and classes like that, Orange Theory, etc., that is not the way to go, because classes like that, yes, they might have a weightlifting component in it where you're using some amount of weights in the class, but the problem is it's way more like doing a cardio session than it is doing a muscle building session, because you're kind of just moving around a whole bunch, and also the workouts are different every single time. So when you want to gain muscle, the way that you need to approach it is you should follow one set program, let's say 3, 4, maybe 5 days a week, and you repeat the same workouts every single week for at least 2 months, if not longer than that. And the reason why is because you want to improve at the lifts that you're doing. You want to continually always be seeing how can you either lift more weight, do more reps, or just do more quality reps, improving your form, more range of motion, more intensity and effort. It is that combination that is going to make you build muscle over time and get that really fit, toned, sexy looking body. So you have to also be focused on muscle gain, not just fat loss, to get the aesthetics you want, and again, to be able to easily maintain it. Because when you have all that muscle, it doesn't just disappear overnight. You really get to keep it permanently, and it's going to speed up your metabolism, get your body adapted to burning more calories all the time so that you can easily maintain it even though you have a life outside of your fitness journey. Even though you go on vacation sometimes, you go out to eat with your friends, you have some drinks, you're still going to look fit overall because as a baseline, you have that muscle and you pursue your fitness journey with a muscle building perspective, not only a fat loss, weight loss perspective. Okay, the fourth mistake that is keeping you either overweight or skinny fat instead of fit, toned, and fabulous, how you want to be, is that you are being too restrictive, and because of that, you are not being adherent. So I see this all the time with the women I talk to. Since they're in that low calorie, low carb, doing a whole bunch of working out mindset because they're like, oh, I just need to lose weight, I just need to lose body fat, they actually have really unrealistic, unsustainable standards that they're trying to adhere to. So for example, it's like, okay, I'm only going to eat 1,200 calories a day. I'm gonna keep my carbs really low. I'm gonna eat 100% clean, literally nothing that is at all unhealthy. I'm never going to have a cheat meal. And then I'm going to work out 6 to 7 days a week on top of that. Okay. That is obviously not something that is fun in any way. It is very difficult to adhere to, especially if you're talking like for months at a time. So of course, what ends up happening is you try to be good. Okay, I'm gonna eat well, I'm gonna eat clean, I'm gonna restrict, blah, blah, blah. But then obviously you cannot sustain it. So what happens is you end up wanting to binge and just eat all these foods that you have banned yourself from having because it feels like it's off limits and you feel like this desperation, like, oh my God, I need to eat it because this is the only chance I get. So this is why it is so in your best interest to actually work on getting your calorie intake higher, to try to get your body adapted to burning more fuel via increasing your food intake, doing something called a reverse diet, which is something that I take all of my clients through to get an amazing transformation where we actually get their body adapted to more food by gradually increasing their food intake, and then we focus on specific fat loss or especially muscle gain phases from there. So if you would like to be coached yourself one-to-one through this, if you don't want to have to guess, you don't have to figure it all out on your own, you want to know exactly what to eat, how much, what workouts to do, and constantly have the support and guidance you need, that's exactly what we offer to get women an amazing transformation. So if you'd be interested, you can click on the link in the description. We would love to chat with you and see if you'd be a good fit. So yes, this is why it is really in your best interest, if you want to have sustainable results, if you want to be fit all of the time, to focus on muscle gain, not just fat loss, and to focus on not having to work out so much, but doing it smarter instead of harder, so you get 100 times better results from the input that you do have, and that you get your body adapted to eating more food, which then is going to translate over to muscle gain. So for example, it would be way more sustainable for you if you were going to eat something like 2,000 calories a day, and that you had a good macro ratio where you had still a good amount of carbs and fats within that intake, so your food wasn't boring, and that technically nothing was off limits. You could eat whatever you wanted so long as it was hitting your macros, and that bad foods weren't off limits. You could still have some of them, just obviously that you didn't only eat that, you still eat well overall, you still eat good quality foods overall, and then that you get to have 1 to 2 cheat meals per week so that you don't have to feel like you have no life and you can never do anything fun. Obviously, if you chose that approach, that is way more sustainable. And because it's sustainable, because it's balanced, that means you will actually adhere over the long term. And because you're adhering, you actually get the result. So it makes so much more sense to have that kind of approach than try to do something that is so strict, so restrictive, so miserable, and then obviously not be able to stick with it and then just be in this binge restrict cycle. So I have so many videos where I walk you through exactly how to be setting up your food and workouts in this really sustainable, manageable way to see the great results that you want to see. So you can check it out here. I'll also link in the description below. And again, if you just want the fully custom plan with all the accountability and guidance, that's why we have one-to-one coaching, so you can check that out as well. Okay, and the fifth and final mistake that is keeping you overweight or skinny fat instead of having that fit, sexy body you really want to be having is that you just have one set plan and you never change it. So you have this one set plan of workouts and this one set plan of how to eat. A lot of the time I see this with women where they get one set of macros, one set of a calorie intake, and then they just follow that for months and years. They never change it. And they have this one set of workouts that they just never change. Or the opposite problem, maybe that they're changing their workouts like every single week. That's also an issue because of course, if you're constantly changing your workouts, then you can't progress. You have no idea of knowing if you're getting any stronger, any better, and that's also not helping you build any muscle. But more so, I see people not changing their strategy on the food side. They pick one set of macros, one set of calories, never change it. And of course, if you do that, I mean, you might start to see a little bit of progress in the beginning just because you are actually being adherent to something, and especially if it is good macro ratios, then sure, you might be able to lose a little bit of body fat, get a little tiny bit of definition, but you are going to plateau. And that is because you need to be consistently moving in a specific direction and really have a strategy that is designated to what you're trying to achieve. And we know that all you're trying to achieve is more muscle gain as well as having low body fat levels, but not only low body fat levels, because without the muscle, you are just not going to have the fit body that you want. So instead of just having one set of macros and never changing it, you need to be constantly evaluating how your body is progressing with what you're doing. If right now you are in a muscle gain phase, then you need to actually be paying attention to your photos and to the scale. If you're in a muscle gain phase, you should be seeing the scale going up about 1 to 2 pounds per month, and you should also be taking progress photos and making sure that it doesn't look like you're just gaining a bunch of body fat. Of course, that shouldn't be happening if you're training hard and if you are adhering to your macro protocols, but nonetheless, you just want to be keeping tabs on this. You want to make sure that you are moving in the right direction. Now, if you're seeing that the scale is not going up, if the scale is literally just staying exactly the same, then you know that actually this is not enough food for you to see muscle gain from, because if it was, you would be gaining some weight gradually, of course, but nonetheless, the scale trend would be moving upwards. So that's how you know you need to change something. You need to increase the amount of food that you're eating. And then vice versa. If you're in a fat loss phase, if the goal is to lean out right now, but we are not seeing the scale consistently trending downwards, even though you are perfectly adherent with your strategies, then again, we know we have to change something. We either need to maybe drop your food a little bit, increase cardio, increase steps, or perhaps you're trying to cut when it's just too low of an intake and you need to do a reverse diet. You need to increase your food to get out of the really low calorie intake so that your body's going to be more responsive again. So one way or another, it is just so important that you are actually tracking your progress. You are actually evaluating how your body's responding and then making decisions about how much to eat and how much to be working out based on that. Not just randomly guessing, not just saying, oh, okay, I guess I should eat this amount. I guess I should do these workouts and like, let's just see what happens. Let's just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. That is how you spin your wheels for years and get nowhere, my friend. So make sure to be actually focused on either muscle gain or fat loss pick one, commit to the strategy, and then transition to the other one when the time becomes right. All right, Fit Fam, thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope that it was helpful for you to learn what are the big mistakes that I see all the time, keeping women either skinny fat or overweight instead of having that sexy fit body that you really want to have. And remember, if you want our one-to-one support, so you don't have to guess, you don't have to wonder what you should be doing, you just get a completely custom plan that makes sense for your body and your lifestyle, and then have the accountability, reassurance, and support to actually see it through over months so that you get an amazing jaw-dropping transformation. We would love to support you with that and see if our program is a good fit for you. So you can click on the link in the description and check that out. All right, Fit Fam, next I want you to go check out this video here where I'm going to go into more detail about exactly how to navigate through the different phases of muscle gain versus fat loss so you can build that fit dream body you've always wanted. So I will see you in that video.